welcome to the main episode 2 of the Bible Reloaded. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
Before we start, we have a couple of things to go through. One, thank you everyone who's been watching. This started off pretty good. Our first video has, 1,700 views
1,700 at the time of this recording, and it's way more than we thought we would have. It's kind of cool. And we got a lot of cool people down there. 88Rat, DSADF or something like that. And the SCB General and Friday Atheist. Everybody likes those guys. So.
Yeah. Right now, I think we have 75 subscribers. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Alright, second thing, we now have mics. I don't know if you noticed, but you can now hear the sultry sounds of our voices.
Yep. I hope the audio quality goes up, along with the video quality. I'm getting better at this whole editing thing, so...
And thirdly, now something some people have asked for, if you look down in the description, we now have audio downloads if you want to take us in your phone or iPod or whatever.
Yep.
Because everyone wants to carry us in their pockets.
Right, I agree. And now it's actually it's actually a podcast at this point.
I know.
We were kind of posing for a second, but you could have always used those illegal YouTube rippers or whatever. But
yeah. All right. So with the logistical stuff out of the way,
we start episode 2, Adam and Eve.
Genesis Chapter 2.
Nice.
By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creation that he had done.
Why the fuck is God affected by fatigue? The omnipotent creator of the entire universe is like, I'm a little tired today.
Yeah.
What is that? I don't...
And why a day? That's very specific.
Yeah, but he can go 6. But, 7th day, I'm a little tuckered out.
Yeah, in my opinion, this also throws out the window anybody who is going to say, oh, you don't know what a day in God's life is.
Yeah.
Here it says he rested on the seventh day, and that's the reason for resting on Sunday. So that means a literal day.
Right, so we've closed that little bridge there. This guy, I can't remember his name, I asked why would God feel fatigue, and he's like, well, he didn't do it because he was tired. He did it because without the 7th day and him resting, we would have no concept of rest. So without that day, I don't get to take a break at work? Like, I can't just rest my feet for a second? Like,
I'd like to think of this hypothetical guy who's just, he has no idea of the Bible, has no idea of the God of Genesis. He's just out plowing a field for 7 days straight. He's bleeding from all his extremities.
His wife is like, come inside!
Please just come inside! And he's just like, I don't know how to not do this. A magic man in the sky didn't tell me not to. I don't understand anything but this. Chapter 2, verse 4. Adam and Eve. Woo! This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Now no shrub had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not sent rain on the earth.
Wait. In chapter 1, didn't he make all that shit a second ago? So now, like...
Yeah, I remember when we recorded episode 1, we definitely, right here, went over making shrubs, and he said specifically, every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit of seed in it, they will be yours for food. But now he's making them again. Have you seen the Twilight Zone episode where he finds out his whole life is like a dream?
No.
And so he falls asleep and his whole life is a dream, and then he realizes it's a dream, and he wakes up and then everything disappears. This is like that.
God has to concentrate to make shrubs stay.
He woke up for a second, then they disappeared, so he had to recreate them, and Rod Serling's in the corner. And he's like, on this day he created shrubs, but then he didn't create shrubs.
Oh, that's obviously how he did it.
Yeah. To be fair, Twilight Zone, better written.
Much better written.
That's a good episode. Everyone should watch Twilight Zone. Let's scrap this idea. Let's do the Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone Reloaded.
Twilight Zone Reloaded.
The one about Adam and Eve. We could do that one.
Probe 7 over and out. I shouldn't know the name of that specifically.
You watched it like a week ago.
Yeah, you were mad about it.
Dude, when I looked at you when that fucking happened, when it's like, oh, I'm Adam, I'm Eve. Oh, fuck you, Hugo. Why'd you make me watch this bullshit? I was so angry. I don't know if you looked at the face, but it was
I felt like it was poignant at the time.
It was definitely...
Nobody understands what we're talking about, though.
Well, we could probably cut this. But we probably won't.
No, I don't care.
This is in.
I don't care.
Everyone's listening to this rant.
Oh, fuck
no one
them.
Cares.
Everyone who's listening to this and doesn't like it, fuck you. I don't care.
Exactly.
Verse 6, but streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. This is saying, it says that there's no rain right now.
Right, yeah.
There's no rain on earth. What waters plants are underground streams. It specifically says later in the Noah story, by the way, that these streams break up and then it rains. It never specifically says in the Noah story, this is the first time it rains. But since it says that now the streams broke up and then it rains, it kind of implies that this is the ending of an old way of watering.
A lot of creationists assume it's the first time it rains too when you talk about it with them. So
yeah, and can I explain to you? I discussed this in the comments of our last video with some of our wonderful fans.
Yeah.
The way our atmosphere works, precipitation is inevitable.
Right.
There's always going to be. There's liquid water on this planet. It evaporates, then becomes precipitation in one form or another. Of course, there are places on the Earth like deserts where it rains very seldomly, but it doesn't matter. It still rains all over the Earth. Chapter 2, verse 7. Then the Lord God formed a man. He already did this.
Yeah, this is the second time he's creating man. I don't know, what is it, 26?
In chapter 1, verse 27, he creates man.
I was off by one.
Yeah, you were close, though. But, yeah, so this is the second time. And again, people say, oh, it's two separate creation stories inspired by the same thing put together into the Bible. That's just an editing issue.
Right.
Even if this was cobbled together from various scriptures,
you gotta read that and be like, we don't need this part.
I know. Why didn't they edit that better?
I mean,
this is just a literary commentary at this point. That's terrible. They should have known better.
Yeah. Another R.L. Stein failure.
You really like to trash R.L. Stein.
Fuck that guy.
Before it was pictorial, but now you're directly verbally assaulting him.
No. How about this? Out in the open, for the world to see, fuck R.L. Stein. He's the worst. He is the worst author.
90% of Goosebumps, terrible. I'll give you that. There's like one with a giant
The dummy ones was alright, I guess.
I like the dummy ones, but that's pretty much a ripoff. A lot of his stories are ripoffs of adult horror stories that he turned in for children.
He's shit.
But, okay, fuck you. You haven't read The Haunted Mask. Suck a dick.
Present it.
Verse 7. Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living thing. He doesn't go through this process with every other species. Why is
it the dust of the ground? And it's funny, a creationist said the other day, oh, you're not made, you just think you're made from dust. No, fuck you do! You literally think you're made from dust. Don't fucking sass me. Because it was that Lawrence Krauss comment, we're all stardust, your right hand could be different than your left hand, you know what I'm saying? He was like, oh, you're made from dust, that's just stupid. And I had to cite that verse. And I was so angry that I had to, because, god damn it, that's just ground dust. That's not even at least Krauss's is fancy dust.
Fancy dust?
It's fancy stardust.
Also, only makes one at this point. Every other animal, they never say specific numbers, but it's pretty clear it's pretty small numbers.
Yeah,
but they only create one man. And then it later says he's like a gardener. What an asshole. We're the Mexicans of biblical times. Okay, verse 8. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food.
We can't eat those. I bet those are there because they're pretty. That must be why, because we can't put them in our mouths.
Yeah, the human centricity of the Bible. Everything has to be here for us because we're the most important thing in the universe. Nothing is just random.
Yeah.
We can't eat those trees, though, so they must be pretty to look at.
How do they explain rocks?
You can throw them at shit.
Throw them at shit.
Make tools out of them.
See, without rocks, David and Goliath couldn't happen. So.
Specific purpose. Very nice. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay, the tree of life is the tree that theoretically makes it so humans can live forever.
Right.
Okay, that's one thing. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is the tree that we are aware of, that they later eateth of and doom us all with so-called original sin.
Right.
Why are you fucking putting the tree good and evil in the garden?
Right? Why? Hey, here's a tree that has delicious fruit on it, but don't fucking eat it.
With his omnipotence, he knows it's going to happen, too.
He's setting him
up. He has to know. It's like Saw.
It's just like Saw.
I'm not going to murder you, but I'm going to put you in a position where you have to murder yourself, so essentially I'm murdering you.
Fucking...
And then they make like 6 sequels that are terrible. Okay, verse 10. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. The name of the first is the Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of that land is good. Aromatic resin and onyx are also there. Why is the Holy Book talking about fucking precious metals?
Why do they give a shit? Are they even in the Bronze Age at this point? Like, why do they...
They're not, because God doesn't invent the sword.
They don't even have
later.
fucking clothes yet. Why do they care about gold?
I know.
They live in a garden by themselves. Well, by himself. It's not even...
It's one person at this point.
He hasn't even been knocked out yet.
Yeah. Gold, aromatic resin, and onyx.
Pokemon. Who doesn't love that? You know the best way to beat onyx, right?
Squirtle.
Start with a Squirtle, absolutely.
I always start with Squirtle.
Why do you do that?
Because it's good for, like, you get to train it up, and then you blow through the rock gym.
Yeah, but okay, so if you get a Bulbasaur, you can blow through the first 3 gyms. So
okay, maybe I just maybe
use Absorb on that bitch. Done.
Maybe I like Squirtle. Maybe I like turtles.
And if you're a real man, you go Charmander.
Well, hey, suck my dick.
This guy.
Verse 13. The name of the second river is the Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Kush.
That's where they get the good weed from.
Oh, God. Verse 14. The name of the third river is the Tigris. It runs along the east of the side of Asher.
Whoa, weird. It's like I said something about that earlier.
Yeah, go back to episode 1. We're not going to talk about it. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. All of these rivers you can look up right now. You can find out geography-wise where this is. Verse 15. The Lord God took the man and put him in the garden to work it and take care of it. Again, like the Mexicans.
I mean, while racially profiling as that is from you, it's not wrong. He's literally saying, hey, why don't you work this land for no fucking reason? You're alone. You could literally just go pick 2 apples a day and survive forever. It's the tree of life.
Why does God need a gardener?
He doesn't. You see what this is again? More human centricity. Because, that's why we have agriculture. Because God told us to. Not because we needed to survive on a mass scale in big old villages and shit. Mixed civilizations.
Verse 16. And the Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die. Quote from God. When you eat from it, you will certainly die. Note that for later.
Spoiler, he's lying.
The Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him.
I like how they call the woman a helper. Not a woman.
No, she can't be equal. She is the Robin to our Batman.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, again, I have to say.
Subservience.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons for women's supposed subservience to men. We touched on Lilith before about
how she wouldn't be subservient to Adam, and then she was utterly destroyed, and then you get handies in your sleep from her.
I went to a fundamentalist Baptist school.
I like this story.
The head pastor, he essentially was like a principal. He got a teenage girl pregnant. He is in his 50s. The school hid it. Think about how that would go down into public school. If the principal had gotten a teenage girl pregnant, he would be arrested immediately.
Yeah, he should be.
The church was more important than this young girl's womb.
Baptists are crazy.
Needless to say, I found my way away from that. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
Verse 19. Now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the wild animals and all the birds in the sky. He brought them to the man to see what he could name them, and whatever the man called each living creature, that was his name. So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds in the sky, and all the wild animals. That's impressive.
Good for him.
He must have been the most creative person.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is a spider.
There's at least thousands of different kinds of spiders that we're aware of. Last count, I think an estimate was about 8 million species on this planet.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
That doesn't even count the ones that we know have been extinct, which is plenty.
Yeah.
So
supposedly 99% of species that have ever existed are extinct, but that's an evolution thing.
Yeah.
So that's only backed up by science.
Well, no, I mean, even though they still believe in all the dinosaurs and stuff, so that means he named a shit ton of fucking animals at this point.
Yeah. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs, and then closed up the place with flesh. First open cavity surgery.
Good for God.
I feel like he could have just been like, oh, pop, rib. But
it's like
no.
Dr. House.
House is not a surgeon.
House does things like that.
He only storms in on surgeries to tell them that he was wrong with his first hypothesis in Act 2. Verse 22. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. The man said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh.
I like this last part.
Adam and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. They shouldn't. For one thing, they're married.
And second of all, have you ever seen Adam and Eve pictures?
Oh, they're ripped.
They're usually pretty ripped and hot.
Yeah, they're I feel like they're tanner than they're portrayed in a lot of.
Definitely.
Based on fossil records, I say they came from Africa.
I would say so as well. So we're not looking at Bradgelina, we're looking at Will Smith and Jada Pinkett.
They're not together anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Poor Jaden. The Karate Kid.
Hiya! You didn't even like that movie.
I fucking really didn't like that movie, though.
That's the perfect remake. They can't see the look on your face. The disdain doesn't come through in the microphone.
I don't have to. I don't. That's for you.
It's okay.
It's Jackie Chan.
Yes, Jackie Chan.
No.
Oh, you want Pat Morita, who has no karate experience, pretending to be
He's
a karate?
Asian.
That doesn't make him.
They're born with karate and good math.
So you're telling me Lin could be fucking Shaq-fooing the shit out of the court?
Absolutely. Jeremy Lin?
Yeah.
You just made a reference to a sports player. This is the first time.
I know. I don't even watch sports ball.
Sports ball. Fuck you.
Alright, so that's the end of episode 2 of the Bible Reloaded. Thanks to everyone who's listening. If you want, you can give us a subscribe.
Woo!
You can join a really cool club. There's like 75 members as of
and can we
right
get
now.
some creationists in here? We are so just bored to tears of not being able to yell at stupid people.
If knowledge was dicks, this would be a sausage fest.
I know, right? We need some... Wow, I guess we're really generalizing vaginas and that. We're making them all sound stupid.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No.
It's alright, though.
We don't make them sound as stupid as
not
as the Bible.
Not as much as the Bible. Hey, here's my daughters. Take them.
Yeah.
You guys should read ahead for that.
Okay. Well, I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this has been the Bible Reloaded.
ScienceBless.
That's the first thing a cow thinks when it gains sentience. I fucking love cow rape. That says a lot about cows' mentality.
There's a lot about you and me right now.